You know, niggas gotta get their priorities together. Got their mind on the wrong things, spending their money in the wrong way.
Trapaholic, real trap shit.
Say you need that car with the rims and a trunk, just like Jim. It's more than life. Yeah.
I'm telling you. Talk to him.
Say you need that LV bag with the belt and the hat.
That's all you got though.
It's more than life. Yeah.
Talk to him. Real.
Say you wanna turn up at the club, like some bottles, and press them guns. It's more than life.
Fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saints and Appetizers podcast. And we're back. We're back again already. We went on a little short hiatus there, and now we're cranking them out. We're cranking out some shows here. But this evening here we have some more appetizers for you. We have the results show, the results for UFC 298 Volkanovski versus Topuria, and let's see here. So that was Saturday, February 17th, 2024 at the Honda Event Center in Anaheim, California. And there was 18,186 in attendance and a $7.2 million total at the gate. Okay, so this event, when going through it originally over the card and going through the picks, I was saying like it's got a lot of potential. There's a lot of big name and former superstar fighters on the card, and hey, I thought it turned out to be a really good card, honestly. Hey, I'm not gonna give it away too soon. We'll want to go over them first, but hey, this may have been the best card prediction wise that I've done since I've started doing podcasts. So hey, I'm pretty pumped up about that. And going over it, I would say I haven't really watched a lot of the fight nights, but I would say this was the best main card of the year so far. I know it's just February, getting close to March, but hey, this time it rolls. And so just want to shout out some fans, some podcasters, listeners. I kind of go on these long hiatuses and then come back and surprised that I still have people supporting me. And that definitely happened with my last New Orleans Saints podcast and the last UFC podcast. We got a lot more views than I was expecting to after going on a hiatus for so long. And got two new subscribers too. I'm not exactly sure who you are, but I appreciate the 2 new subscribers. So keep it coming, because it's stuff like that really keeps me coming and keeps me motivated to do this, is the fans, you guys out there. But anyways, let's get into this. Let's get into the main card of UFC 298 Volkanovski versus Topuria. And so, like I was saying, I did very good with my picks on this card, but not just the picks. I also picked the method, predicted the method of majority of these fights as well, which was, it's one thing to pick the right fighter to win, but to pick the method as well is pretty impressive as well. I don't think I picked the exact round or anything like that, but picked almost all the fighters right, and close to all the methods. So, but let's get into the first one on this card. So, can I get a menu? And so the first fight on the UFC 298 card was a middleweight bout between Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov, and Anthony Hernandez ended up getting the submission, a rear naked choke in the second round at 3:23 of the second round. And so I kind of gave it away a little bit that I predicted every single one of these fights, pick the right fighter on every single one of these. So okay, I picked Anthony Hernandez to beat Roman Kopylov, and I had also predicted him to win it by submission. So pat on the back 2 times for that. But the fight went pretty much exactly how I really predicted it, and it went a little bit different I guess it went a little bit different than how I predicted it because like in the first round, I was saying, a good ground game. I'm just talking a good ground game versus a good striking game. Usually the good ground game usually wins. But so we were talking about and thinking that Roman Kopylov was going to have the better stand up and striking game, but it really wasn't. It was really pretty even. I thought so. Uh, and it was even throughout the first round. And then I don't know, Anthony Hernandez must have felt that it was kind of a stalemate in the striking game and the stand-up game. And then he decided to do what he does best and take Roman Kopylov down. And he had him down and then like a rear naked choke for like a good portion of the second round. Like he let it go like 3 times and repositioned it and got a better grip on it, going palm to palm, and finally got the submission out of Roman Kopylov at the 3:23 mark of the second round. So that went really how I predicted it, and there really, besides really the first round was just some striking, nothing too exciting really happened, and then uh, uh, they Anthony Hernandez ended up finishing Roman Kopylov on the ground with that submission. So we're 1-0 on the main card. So let's move to the bantamweight bout between Merab Dashwili versus Henry Cejudo, and that ended up being unanimous decision, and it was a 29, 28, 29, 28, 29, 28, and that's a 5-rounder. So it's all 5 rounds, 3 minutes. And this fight went a little bit different than I expected it to. I guess I was expecting Merab Dashwili to be like dominant throughout the entire fight, I guess. But I thought Henry Cejudo looked pretty good in the first round, and even took Merab Dashwili down at one point in the fight. And I was thinking and predicting that this would maybe be kind of a boring fight, and Merab Dashwili would just kind of hold Henry Cejudo down. But I don't think that's really why he was able to do what he did. It was just a decision like I predicted. I predicted it to be a decision. I thought it was going to be a kind of a boring prediction victory for Merab Dashwili. But after the first round, Henry Cejudo, because he is 30, what is he, 36, 37, yeah, 37 years old, it seemed like he kind of ran out of gas, but he looked very competitive in the first round with Merab Dashwili. But then in the second and especially in the third round, Merab Dashwili was just kind of ragdolling Henry Cejudo at the end of the second round. He had him in like a rear, no, not a rear, but like a front headlock or a guillotine choke, and was just I guess he was talking trash or trying to get hyped up by Zimmerman or something out there. I don't know. It was weird. Facebook guy, and then he let go of that. Wasn't able to finish him at the second round with that guillotine front face lock, whatever you want to call it. But then in the second round, he was the third round. He was just like ragdolling Henry Cejudo and just like holding him down. And at one time, he like picked him up like all the way up, like over his shoulder, and like carried him over to the corner where Zuckerberg or Zimmerman. I'm trying to think. Make sure I got the right name of the Facebook. Let's see here. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it was Mark Zuckerberg who Merab Dashwili was having like a back and forth with during the fight, and basically kind of what I expected to happen through the first 3 rounds ended up happening like towards the end of the second and pretty much all the third round, where Merab Dashwili was pretty much just picking Henry Cejudo up and putting him down. But I wouldn't say Henry Cejudo was ever in danger of being submitted or TKO'd or anything. So it's kind of what I predicted. It was exciting just with the fact that he was the antics and the showboating that Merab Dashwili was doing towards Mark Zuckerberg. Like that was about the only reason the fight wasn't boring like I thought it was going to be, because that's definitely what Dosh Willie does. He just holds people down, and he doesn't get submission, doesn't get knockouts, but he just holds people down and ragdolls them and stays close to them. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened in that. But it ended up being a better fight than I actually anticipated it to be. So that's 2 for 2 on the picking the uh, right fighter and picking the right method as well. So let's move on to the welterweight bout between Ian Machado Gary versus Jeff Neal, and that ended up going split decision, 30-27, 20-28, 29, and 30-27, which that's a weird scorecard for me. So it's a split decision, and I honestly wasn't surprised that it was a split decision. I thought this fight was closer than what the announcers were letting on, because I thought in the first round, Jeff Neal landed a couple good shots that kind of had Ian Machado Gary on skates and kind of going up back against the cage. Like I think the couple good shots that Jeff Neal landed on Ian Machado Gary was the most significant and had either one of them in the most danger in the fight. And that was like towards the end of the first round. And then I'll admit Ian Machado Gary pretty much controlled the rest of the fight. It was pretty even, The main successful strike that he was having was he was throwing in some combinations every now and again, but he was throwing like this flying knee slash like punch like at the same time, and I swear he landed that like 4 or 5 times, and that was really, I guess, really the main significant strikes for him. I don't know when landing that if you count that as 2 strikes or not, but he definitely gave Ian Machado Gary definitely gave Jeff Neal a lot more respect than Neil Magny. I think just in general coming into this fight, he had more respect for him. So it didn't. Ian Machado Gary wasn't quite as rushing in quite as much, or trying to wrestle with Jeff Neal all that much. Like it mostly stayed a stand-up fight, and just Ian Machado Gary just kind of point fighted Jeff Neal. But when they were doing the scorecards, like I said, they were acting as if it was just like hands down Ian Machado Gary won. Not when it came out split decision, and the first judge was announced that they had scored it for Jeff Neal. Like I wasn't surprised. I wasn't impressed with Ian Machado Gary, but I do respect him a little bit more because people try to give him a hard time for the Irishman and Conor McGregor and all that. But he was very respectful after the fight. I guess he was respectful to his opponent. All the fans were booing him in Anaheim, California, and he just got on the mic and told them, "Well, yeah, you may boo and hate me, but you're here for me, here watching me." Which, I mean, you can't lie about that. He's true about that. But he was respectful to Jeff Neal, talking about how everything he lands hurts and you feel it and you got to be careful. So maybe that was how he approached this fight, to be a little more cautious than he was in the Neil Magny fight. But I wasn't overly impressed, but still an impressive win for Ian Machado Gary to beat the number 8 welterweight in the division. And I predicted Ian Machado Gary to win this, but I thought he was going to get the knockout. I thought he was going to come in impressive fashion, but it didn't. All right, now on to the co-main event. We have Robert Whitaker versus Paulo Costa, and this fight ended up going unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27. So no, I'll have to get into that here in just a second. So that was a 3-round, 5-minute round fight, and I had originally predicted Robert Whitaker to win this fight by decision. So it went the way I was wanting it to, and I just predicted that he hadn't beat anyone. The reason I thought he was going to win by decision is because he hadn't finished anyone in a fight since Ronald Souza Ronaldo Souza back all the way back at in April 15th, 2017. So he had never beat or hadn't finished anyone for since 2017. And then Paul Acosta, he hasn't been very active. Like I can admit that he's a very durable, tough fighter. Doesn't get finished or anything like that, because the only time he ever got finished is when he got um, teabagged by Israel Donajee, and really just hadn't been the same by that. So I kind of predicted that. I thought that it would just go unanimous decision, but people were wanting to kind of call Robert Whitaker kind of a stepping stone for Paul Costa, but I just didn't see it like that. I didn't think he'd win like impressively over Paul Costa or anything like that, but I definitely thought he'd grind out the wind and get back on the winning track over Paul Costa, who's only fought like once. He's only fought like what, once? I guess he's fought twice since October 23rd, 2021. So he hasn't even been really that active. I don't like I don't like being a hater, because I know this kind of stuff is probably going to affect me. But that's really the main thing I noticed about Paulo Costa is he, for a dude that's looks like a Greek goddess, a Greek god, and chiseled out of stone. He had a pretty good bald spot going there, and I think I seen during the pre-fight uh, checks and stuff. He was definitely concerned about his hair. So uh, shout out! I gotta show some. Got my heart. I got heartfelt for Paulo Costa and his bald spot, his hairline. But anyway, so I thought this was going to go decision. Not all that surprised, but going through the scorecard is what surprises me. So it's 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27. How could a judge of this fight give every single round to Robert Whitaker? Because in the first round, it was very even, just kind of a striking back and forth. Paulo Costa looked real fresh in the first round. And then at the very end of the first round, with what, like 30 seconds left, Paulo Costa landed this devastating will kick right to the cheekbone of Robert Whitaker. Like, you couldn't land a spinning will kick like that any better than he did, and it sent him back into the cage. And Paulo Costa was just unloading on him. That Robert Whitaker didn't fold at that moment was very impressive. A very impressive show of tenacity and toughness and durability by Robert Whitaker. And I honestly think that's what beat Paulo Costa, was that Robert Whitaker was basically able to survive his best shot. He took his best shot, and then he just pretty much continued to just like walk him down for the rest of the fight. I can't say that anything Robert Whitaker landed on Paulo Costa really affected him or damaged him or anything like that. But you could definitely tell that Paulo Costa what wasn't the same after the first round. It just felt like he had kind of an energy jump and an adrenaline dump, and he took everything Robert Whitaker hit him. Anytime Robert hit him with anything clean shot, he didn't even barely even budged him, because he's made out of solid muscle. But he continued to come at Paulo Costa and just kind of point striked, and just won kind of a kickboxing match the last two rounds. But that was just impressive for Robert Whitaker to survive the first round after taking that beautiful spinning wheel kick from Paulo Costa. That was just a fun fight to watch. Like, that was kind of a white knuckle fight that even I predicted it to go to decision, but I still was like, at any moment was waiting for someone to get their head knocked off. All right. Now then, on to the main event, the featherweight title bout between the champion Alexander Volkov versus the challenger Ilia Topuria, the Georgian, El Matador Ilia Topuria. And he ended up winning this fight. Ilia Topuria, we have a new champion in Ilia Topuria, who got the KO punch at the 3:23 mark of the second round. That's kind of interesting. I always like going over these things, but with the only other finish on the card, which was the middleweight bout between Anthony Hernandez versus Roma Kopylov. It was a submission win that came at 2:23 of the second round, and then this knockout of Alexander Volkov by Ilia Topuria came at the 3:32 mark of the second round. My dyslexia is messing up. I thought they were both I thought they were both either 3:32 or 3:23, but one's 3:32 and one's 2:33. So that was in the second round. So I predicted this. I predicted that Ilia Topuria would get the knockout, and was just it's hard to kind of decipher whether you're hating on an older fighter, or if you're just trying to be honest with what I was thinking about how long Alexander Volkov had taken off from his last fight. It had only been about a little less than 4 months since he got pretty much just completely ran through by Islam Makhachev with the head kick and the punch that left him limp. And that was just back on October 21st, 2023. So I just, didn't think he had taken enough time off since being left cold. And then it's just the age, he's 35 years old. He looks, the aura and the kind of the God mode that he's had over the years, since all the way back since his first fight in the UFC, like back in 2016. It really has worn off, because he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights, and 2 of them have come by a knockout, not a TKO, but a knockout. So it wasn't that big of a surprise to me, especially with him facing such a young, fresh, talented, athletically talented fighter that had just been running through the division since 2020. He'd had 5 fights, 5 of his 7 fights he's gotten stoppages in, and 4 of them have been by knockout. So, well, you add that one, that includes the Alexander Volkov one. So it wasn't a huge surprise that Ilia Topuria ended up knocking out Alexander Volkov, whose chin's a little bit suspect now that he's older and he's been knocked out a couple times. You hear people screaming for immediate rematch. Honestly, I don't want to see that shit, honestly. But just going over this fight. So Ilia Topuria ended up getting the KO at the 3:32 minute of the second round. And just the first round, it looked pretty even, I would say that Alexander Volkanovski, you could say, point striked and won the first round, and threw in a couple shot attempts, just to make Ilia Topuria kind of think about it. But then I don't know what happened really in the second round. It just seemed like Ilia Topuria was just a step quicker than Alexander Volkanovski. And the one time that Alexander Volkanovski just kind of wanted to open up, he got caught and kind of got pushed up against the cage, and Ilia Topuria unloaded a devastating combination and hit him and slumped him up against the cage. He was folded up against the cage, and he was out for a little while, even after the fight was over. So Ilia Topuria, he just overwhelmed Alexander Volkanovski at the end of the second round to finish him. It was just impressive. It doesn't get more impressive over a fighter that like Alexander Volkanovski, who's been so dominant over the years. So that goes my picks there. It'd be interesting to see what Alexander Volkanovski does now, if he takes some time off, or if he wants the immediate rematch, or if he retires. My main, what I would be leaning on, not for his decision, not like what I think he'll decide, but what I think would probably be the best thing to do, probably for him and Henry Cejudo, is probably just retire, man. You guys have done everything. You've held every belt. You've had these great winning streaks, especially Henry Cejudo, who I can't believe that he got out wrestled by Merab Dashwili, seeing how he's got gold medals, Olympic gold medalist, and a freestyle fighter, gold medalist, and pretty much everything in freestyle wrestling. But yeah, be real interested to see who Ilia Topuria goes up against after this, who his defender is going to be. So that makes up my card, my prediction, and the UFC card. It was very exciting. I got picked every fighter right, and the method right. Besides the Ian Machado, Gary, Jeff Neal one, I can't say I predicted what round and exactly what time they were at, but I think predicting the right fighter and the method is still pretty impressive. And talking about how the card was good, it was a good card. I think it's the best one of the year so far. It helps that every one I was pulling for won, so that helps a little bit. But the fight of the night wasn't a fight that was on the main card. It was the preliminary bout between Amanda Lemos and Mackenzie Dern, so they got a $50,000 bonus. And then there was a performance of the night for Ilia Topuria with the impressive knockout of Alexander Volkanovski, and then Anthony Hernandez with the impressive submission victory over Roman Kopylov. He even looked just as good in the striking game as him. And then Zhang Ming Yang had an impressive knockout. Yeah, he had an impressive knockout over Brenson Ribeiro. Had a KO knockout of him, and that was in light heavyweight. That was preliminary card though. But yeah, so this was a good card. So those are the bonuses. Only a couple fighters on the main card got the bonuses, but still impressive, impressive card, and just feed me more of that. And that's kind of why I'm getting into this a little bit. I'm surprised that they're having a title fight. Is it a title fight? I thought this was a title fight between Brandon Moreno and Royval too. I thought for some reason I thought that was a title fight. I'm talking about the fight night that's coming up next week. Okay, so that was Royval. They fought for like the interim champion, or Brian Royval fought for the championship against Pantoja. They had already fought and he'd already gotten beat by them. Okay, so I was thinking that this Brandon Moreno versus Royval, Brandon Royval match fight, the flyweight. I thought it was for the flyweight championship, so it's not. So I was a little confused about that. And I was thinking when I was thinking it was a title fight for those two, I was confused as to why they wouldn't have saved that for UFC UFC 300. And Merab Dashwili, he was calling out Sean O'Malley, the bantamweight champion, which I think Merab Dashwili would give a lot of trouble to Sean O'Malley, but he's got a fight and a matchup coming up for UFC 299 with Marlon Vera. So that's the second fight for him. He already beat him and dominated him. I'm really surprised that they're not saving that fight for UFC 300, because they're talking about how they want UFC 300 to be so amazing, but hell, the main event for that card is kind of overwhelming in my opinion, a little bit, because I thought it was going to be some crazy matchup. I guess there's 3 title fights on the card, but Alex Pereira versus Jamel Hill for the light heavyweight championship, Zhang Weiling versus Yan Zanon versus, and then lightweight bout between Justin Gaethje, the champion. I guess that's for the BMF title, and then there's a lightweight title eliminator between Charles Oliveira and Arman Hassakanyan. I don't know. There's a lot of title fights and title fight eliminators on the 300, but no real matchups that like blow me away. But anyways, I think that's about all I have for you this evening. I'm real happy with how the fight card went, and hope we can continue with the good picks as the year goes on. Hopefully, we have more cards, and some of these cards that are built up to be like better or greater than UFC 298 can be even better, or live up to at least what UFC 298 lived up to. But anyways, I think that's all I have for you. So can I get a check, please?